Okay. So, yeah, like I mentioned just a moment ago, today there's not going to be really much material that I'm going to be showing you. I would like us to start doing just a wee bit of research for this class. So Monday, we are going to start taking a look at limits. Okay, so Monday is like going to be like the first sort of investigation into like real live calculus, right? Maybe you've been learning a couple of new things over this past week with some of the videos that I made. Maybe not. Maybe it's all just review. This is going to be like our last little bit of review. Also, it's going to be the first thing I'm going to ask you to hand in. So this will be on Google Classroom. It will be worth a total of 0 marks because it's not calculus yet. Your mark should reflect your knowledge of calculus, not your knowledge of other classes. However, I am going to ask that you hand it in, and I am going to give you feedback. It's important that you get some feedback on this. And I also kind of want to get a sense of how we're doing. So the assignment is to create a catalog of functions. Okay, so I've gone through some of the major functions that we'll be using this year, and I would like you to name a few things about each of these functions. So for each of the below functions, this is what I would like you to write. Let me try to zoom in here as much as I can. Okay, I want you to determine the domain and range. I would like you to calculate or tell me how you would calculate the roots of the function, or in other words, the zeros of the function. And I would like you to create a basic graph of one of these types of functions. Okay. There's actually one more thing I forgot to write on here, which I should include now, and I'll make like a nice little sort of assignment-y sort of thing on Google Classroom, so that your expectations will be clear. One more thing that I forgot to include on here is where the function is increasing or decreasing. Okay, so where is that function increasing or decreasing? Yeah. The more information that you can give me, the better. But most of these graphs are just going to have a standard, like for example, one of them is quadratics. You could do y equals x squared. It'd be even better though, yeah, if you could tell me how to transform them into different graphs. Really, what I'm looking for is just some memory of some of the graphs that we would have learned about last year. I think that the challenging ones are going to be the trig functions. And for that reason, I gave you a lot of trig functions to look at. So you may want to look through a grade 12 textbook. I have some grade 12 textbooks that you can use. I've got some digital copies. You're welcome to use those. You're also welcome to use that website that I showed you about before, the pre-calculus workshop. This one here, precalculusworkshop.uwinnipeg.ca. This one here, this has got all the information that you would need. So this is a great resources as well. It would be under the functions section. You could just even go into the introduction to functions. Oh, actually, it's not. And I think it's the. Is it this one? I think that this one has. Yeah. So we've got the summary of important functions. So this would be a good place to start. We've got cubics and square root functions and cube root functions, etc., etc., etc. So these are the functions that I would like you to tell me about. Polynomial functions, in particular, 3 really important polynomial functions: linear functions, quadratic functions, and cubic functions. I'd like you to tell me about radical functions. Okay, so those are like the square root and the cube root types of functions. So tell me what the domain, the range, how to calculate the roots or the zeros. and the basic graph and where that function is increasing and decreasing for radical functions. Rational functions, sometimes some people call this a reciprocal functions, although it's not actually the most accurate way to describe it. A rational function, or a reciprocal, is a type of rational function. Basically, go ahead. Yeah, so a reciprocal would be 1 over x, because that is the reciprocal of x. But a rational function could have something like x squared plus 1 on the numerator, right? That would be a rational function. So I'd like you to tell me as much as you can about rational functions. Exponential functions, so tell me about exponential functions, okay? So one important exponential function that I'm hoping that we can learn about is e to the power of x. That's one of the most important ones. But if you want to leave that one out, you can. But it is an important type of exponential function. Logarithmic functions as well. Yeah. So you could have ln of x, or you could have log base 2 of x, or log base 10 of x. Okay. So a logarithmic function is a log of x, some kind of logarithm with a base. Okay. So this would be the natural. This is basically the same thing as log base e of x. So we call it the natural logarithm. Okay. And then we can have really any number that we want. We could have, if we wanted to, we could have like log base 7 of x. Why not? We can have anything we want. Okay. So tell me about logarithmic functions, domain, range, how to calculate the zeros. Where is it increasing? Where is it decreasing? Okay. And then the trigonometric functions. And I want all of them. I want you to learn about all of them. Okay. So this is probably where the majority of your time will be spent, because I mean, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. So we've got 9 trig functions. Okay. So sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotan, arcsine, arccosine, and arctan. Okay. I know that that's a lot. There's a lot to ask, but I really want us to have that under our belt. Now, keeping in mind that this isn't worth marks. Like, I'm not here to penalize you for not knowing this, but I still need you to spend the time this weekend going over these types of functions. So some great resources for you would be this website. Okay. Another great website is Desmos. So you can go to desmos.com, and you could try just fiddling around with these and learn for yourself. A lot of this stuff is something that you could, if you wanted to, you could have like log base 3 of x. Let's see what that looks like. So this is what the log base 3 of x looks like, right? Or you could do ln of x. Ln of x. Desmos will just show you immediately what the function looks like, right? You can try to fiddle around with it. What happens if I subtract 1 or multiply it by 2 or something, right? So you can use Desmos for a lot of these activities, right? Arcsine, right? Arcsine. What does this one look like? Arcsine of x. Whoa. That's all. That's the whole function. That's all arcsine is. So that tiny little whip. Okay. Let's try arctan. Arctan. Arctan of x. Okay, arctan of x is a little bit different. Okay. So your goal is to go through all of these functions and basically learn as much as you can about them. So I know that there's a lot of functions. If you're not done by Monday, like I'm not gonna penalize you. I'm not like here to make you feel bad about it. But I do want us to sort of get a move on and have the ability to actually start calculus feeling confident about some of these functions that we're going to be really pulling apart, right? So if we don't have a good foundation in these functions, we're going to really struggle when we start attacking these functions with calculus. So I'm hoping we can get this done by Monday. If you're stuck or struggling at any point this weekend, don't hesitate to reach out and ask for help. I'd love to help you out with this and give you some extra resources. Like I said before, the pre-calculus review website has got almost all of these cataloged, so you can use this as a reference. I don't think it tells you where it's increasing or decreasing, but you can kind of just take a look at it for yourself. Okay. There's also more information on the trig functions in the trigonometry section here. So if you'd like, you can go to graphing for trigonometry. So they've got a lot of information here. So these are that's the plot of cosine, and sine, and that's tangent. So there's a lot of information available to you. If you'd like, I'd be happy to give you a copy of a pre-calculus textbook that you can use to get some more information on this. But yeah, so that's our first assignment, due Monday. Let me know if you need more time. Like I don't want to stress you out. I don't want to cause anxiety and panic and stuff. I know that I am asking a lot. There's a lot of functions here to learn about. But I'm hoping that like the purpose of this is that this is something that you can have now, right? So when you're finished this, you'll have a copy to yourself. And I'm going to go through it and I'm going to look at it and give you feedback so that if there's any kind of misinformation on there or some kind of misunderstanding, I'll let you know. So you're not using like false information throughout the year. But I want us to have this under our belt. So are there any questions about how that's going to work? You can type it up, absolutely. You can do it on paper. When you submit it, like I'll give you some more information about how I would like you to submit it. Essentially, I want a single file. So if somehow you manage to fit this on one page, feel free to send me like a JPEG, like just like a picture. But if it's multiple pages, I would like a PDF. Okay. Yeah, you can use CamScan. That's a great app. Also, if you have an Android device, I think Google Drive lets you scan pictures. Dropbox works on an iPhone. So if you have the Dropbox app for extra storage, your cloud storage, you can use that to scan things. There's a lot of apps where you can scan things. I think CamScan is one of the more popular ones. Any other questions? For radical, I'm gonna ask that you focus on an index of 2, so like 2 times the square root of just some other function. So yeah, I would just focus on the square root. If you want to talk more about the different kinds, even if you just mention it, say, oh yeah, and there's also these kinds of radicals as well. That's great too. So the idea of this is not for me. It's for you. So it's kind of like having a little encyclopedia under your belt. Okay, so the more information that you have, the better off you'll be, right? So if you give me a document that's maybe a little bare bones, then I'm gonna give you feedback and I'll try to fill in some of those gaps for you, and hopefully you can take your sort of encyclopedia or your assignment or however you want to call it, your catalog, and sort of fill it in so that you have some extra information for the year. Okay. Any other questions? Feel free to work together as well. I think that this is the kind of assignment that works really well if you split it up. So if you have someone who you'd like to work with, you could be like, okay, I'm going to do polynomials, you can do radicals, I'll do rationals, you know, and you can work together. I think it'll really help if you help each other out. But of course, if you prefer to work on your own, that's okay too. But yeah, so that's our assignment. I'm going to end the video there. And let me know if you have any questions. And yeah.